movie fans? Welcome to Cold and Trash Horror Movie Grinding Podcast. I am your host, Ian. This is the show in which we grind on the absolute worst horror and sci-fi movies we can find and make fun of just how bad they are, as well as praise the good cult classics that have been lost throughout time. Now get ready, because we're about to dive real deep inside of Hollywood's dumpster in search of the good, the so bad it's good, and the fucking ugly. Now put on your seatbelt, grab a beer or two, and enjoy the show. All right. Folks, welcome to another episode of Cold and Trash Horror Movie Grind. I am Ian, and today I bought a vampire motorcycle. No, I am not saying that I personally bought a vampire motorcycle, but that is the episode that we were covering today. I bought a vampire motorcycle. This is a movie, it happened, about a guy who purchased a motorcycle, which happened to be of vampiric origins. Well, actually, not even origins. It was actually a product of a satanic cult that got attacked by bikers and during a satanic ritual in which they were trying to raise Satan, I guess. And then they got attacked, and then the guy who was trying to summon Satan cut his throat and bled onto a motorcycle into the gas tank, which turned it into a vampire motorcycle, which was then purchased by our protagonist, Modi or something. I don't know. He had a weird name. I don't even remember. I don't care. Anyway, Daniel's with me. What's up, Daniel?
His name was Naughty.
Naughty. That was
Nick
close.
Audie.
That was close.
Naughty.
But thank
And
you.
he was not a good protagonist, so he was very forgettable.
Yeah.
Very forgettable.
Yeah. It was like he witnessed this vampire motorcycle, like being a vampire motorcycle, and he thought nothing of it. It was like, well, that's weird. But then when other people came to him, it was like the motorcycle is a vampire. He's like, you're fucking crazy.
The what? The what's a what? What?
Yeah. So, welcome back to the show. This is not our first time reviewing this movie either.
It's not. We had a previous platform that we tried to review this movie on, and it was removed forcibly from our recording, just due to technical issues. But
mostly my own bullshit. But yeah.
It was a favorite, though. It was definitely one of those surprise films where we were surprised consistently. Yes. Good, bad, you be the judge.
Yeah, which is something I want to bring up later, because this is definitely a bad movie. But there's no way that they could have done this and not realized this is shitty. Like, it's impossible.
No.
But they did a great job at it. So
they absolutely did.
This is definitely, like, this is not only so bad as good, but it's also so good as bad, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, let me just ask you I guess you already kind of answered it, but would you say this is trash or pass?
Oh, it's a pass. Solid pass. This is my second time watching it. Not really. It was basically my third time watching it due to technical errors the first time around. And I would watch it again and again. I would just keep recommending it to people. I think it's really fun.
I agree. This is my third time watching it, and it just gets better every time. But let's bring in a first-time watcher. Sloan's in the house. What's up, Sloan? Unmute your mic, please.
There we go. How'd you do, y'all? Yep. No, that main character, Naughty, he gets all over the place, and he's just like, something happened when I was riding it, but someone else riding it gets thrown off, and it's just like the bike's driving on its own, and he's just like, no, all I said was it just had some weird steering, and it's just like, yeah, There's one point when your bike starts going 3 miles per hour and starts like revving up backwards and starts growing spikes out of it, and has
Spikes
these
are perfectly
you know
normal.
those tires that have the spokes that go out like 2 feet long, and yeah, they got the
Yeah.
little blade wings at the end.
It
It grew a
decapitated a
few of
guy.
those, and you know the
Those are normal.
the
Everyone
whole
has those.
aspect.
I live in Florida. I can attest to this.
And
I
the
bet.
huge sharp teeth that it ends up growing, little proboscises for the throat.
So this is your first time watching this.
This is my first time. I was writhing in agony for a moment, but it's only because it's a fantastic movie in its own sense. It's meant to be along the lines of how we did the Skin Deep episode. It's made horribly, generally on purpose, and
Yeah.
I can admire that.
But they did really good. It seemed very authentic to me.
Mm-hmm. It was definitely a higher value than I was led to going into it. And so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. So you would say it passes?
Yes, pass.
Cool.
I definitely agree with pass.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard of this movie before?
No, not before you guys started throwing it at me.
See, this is like I kind of hate it when people refer to movies as a gem, but this really is a gem because this is a movie that nobody's heard of before. Like I found it through the Facebook group, but it's like it was almost impossible to even find. Even like we had to like I'll go into it later of all the viruses that Daniel went through for us all to watch it. But before I do,
A, B, C, F, H, all of them.
before we go into that, let me introduce our final guest, the man with the '90s action hero name, Jonny Blackburn.
Womp, womp, womp. What's up? Thanks for having me on this new podcast of yours. I'm honored to be here, even though this is my second time on this show. So
yeah,
honored to be here again, regardless.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to have you. Have you heard this movie before, and is this your first time seeing it?
No, I had not heard of it before until you had mentioned it during our episode on what was
Santa Sangre.
Santa Sangre, thank you. Yeah, I hadn't heard of it, but you had played a clip on that episode, and I immediately said to you in the middle of the recording, you have to have me on. Otherwise, I will kill you and then myself. So the stakes were high. So I appreciate you not letting me perish. And no, it was my first time seeing it. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Actually, I was
cool.
surprised.
Yeah, you're like the wild card on this show and the other show. I don't know if like you'll enjoy like these two guys. They'll enjoy everything that we put on, but sure. You're like so critical. And like you'll go into a bad movie expecting a bad movie, but then you'll be surprised that it's a bad movie. But
I feel like bad movies can still be attempted to be done well. So there's things that there's laziness in script writing. There's laziness in production value, like how you go about things. You can have a cheap budget and still make things look good, or attempt to make it look good. If they attempt to make it look good and it still fails, then I'll still give it a passing grade. But if they don't, then that's kind of where I get really critical.
Speaking of which, trash or pass?
Oh, pass for this. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I had a blast watching it. I'm not going to put it on the same level as a Miami Vice and a Samurai Cop, but it's close.
You say Miami
it's close.
Vice.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, Miami Connection, Miami Vice. Actually, never even liked that show.
Miami Connection.
Miami Connection.
That's trash for me. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. For those who don't know, on my old show, like for a while, Johnny's been coming to me, being like, I need some new bad movies to watch. Like, send me some bad movies. And
after Neil Breen was over, where else could I go?
Yeah. So I was like, hey, check out Miami Connection, which is a cult classic, especially here in Austin because of Alamo Draft House and whatnot. And it pretty much, I would say it changed your life.
Absolutely, for the better, of course. I literally was on the downhill slope, and it wasn't looking good, my friends. It was not looking good. But then, I saw a collection of films you had recommended, and I found new perspective and meaning in my life. So
nice. So
Praise the Lord.
check out the other podcast, Movie So Bad They're Good, Midnight Cool Classics and Camp, in which I bring Johnny on to talk about Miami Connection, but that's not why we're here today. We are here for I bought a vampire motorcycle, and let's just play the trailer. I've got it right here.
Most good motorcycles run on gasoline. This is a bad motorcycle. It runs on blood. Unfortunately, the bike's previous owner is now dead.
$1.5 a bit heavy for a crashed bike.
The bike's not been crashed.
He sounds like a
The last
troll.
owner didn't die on it.
He's like
Had an accident.
like he knows his
Machine's
bullshit.
new legal owner, but he will never have true possession of it because it's already possessed by someone or something else.
Terminator.
Perhaps he should have suspected something when his best friend was found horribly murdered.
I have to tell you, it's not very pleasant.
Perhaps he should have listened to his
That's a
girlfriend
movie review
when
right
she
there.
warned him the bike was a killer.
I love that shot right
Well,
there.
how the hell
That's
should
beautiful.
I know? It just drove off.
What, all by itself?
Yes.
It
What a
roams
fucking
the streets
asshole.
alone to satisfy
I like how it just like
its
dances
lust
and prances
for
down the
blood.
street as it's going like 2 miles an hour. He shoots in the direction.
I'm really glad that there was the butt shot in that.
It's so great right there.
So I just want to say here, spoiler, that guy lived despite being put in a coffin.
No D. No D.
Oh yes.
Oh, this is unnecessary.
No D.
Oh God! I feel like if I was being dragged behind the car, I would not be reciting that at all. I feel like I'd have other things on my mind.
Terrible police officer.
In hell,
I feel like I'd be trying to live instead of reciting the pledge.
safe from the wheels of death.
Click, 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 click.
Beware,
Click, click,
the
click.
vampire motorcycle could be right up your street.
Oh, he should have said right up your alley.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Get out of here and go ahead and direct the sequel.
There should have been a sequel. You're right.
There should have been. I
There still
gotta
can
go
be.
with here the
My monster moped.
the the announcer sounds like somebody making fun of the movie.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying.
Vampires and motorcycles are the same type of person/vehicle thing that I'm not going to describe very well.
Yeah, it sounded like he was trying not to laugh the whole time. It was like, this motorcycle runs on blood.
He is a bad motorcycle.
Well, yes, this is a yeah, like this movie's too good not to be known, and I'm sure that our listeners have probably never heard of it or seen it. If you have, kudos to you. Like, comment, I'm a badass because I've seen this.
I definitely want to hear from our viewers that have seen this movie because I want to know what your thoughts were before you came to a channel specifically looking to trash bad movies.
Yeah. We had to jump through hoops to see this. We had to go through a sketchy site, 123 Movies, and Daniel here, he took one for the team. Thank you for your service. You shared your screen. We all watched it, and you probably encountered a dozen viruses while doing so.
Only time will tell. If
It's
I
actually
don't
singles
come
in
in
your
for a
neighborhood.
few more shows after this, that's why.
But you seem to be doing okay right now. And
I don't know.
yes,
I have no
so
idea.
We were all watching his screen, and up until like the very end, the cliffhanger, the most exciting part, and then like your
Just
connection
crashed.
dropped. It was just buffering, and we were like, "Well, I guess that's it.
Well, it needed time to load all of the ads.
Yeah.
All the ads and all the viruses, so that's where it dropped out.
So that really like added to the experience of the shitty movie. Like and while you were trying to like get it reloaded, you started getting ads like sexy singles in this area.
That is not what I was thinking about while watching this movie.
What
Sexy
were you
singles
thinking?
in the area?
What were you thinking
Hopefully
about?
not.
Watching the movie, I was actually thinking about ways of getting out of the podcast, but
Same.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, it's not too late. You can just like
oh no, it's
you
too
don't
late.
have
I'm
to
on
be
camera.
here. You can leave if you want.
Wait, let me put my notes up. Wait, do I still have the filter coming through?
Yeah, you do.
Awesome. Okay, I thought I was just shimmering because of vampire bullshit going on around here.
Well, Johnny found his way out of the podcast.
God, look at this. I wanted to pull up my notes and get myself back on track, but apparently it's not going to happen. I'm really into that. All right, cool. Yeah, I don't know how to use a computer, which is apparent because of all the
Johnny
viruses
found his
on
way
it now.
back onto the podcast. You can't
I
get out.
I don't have any pants on, so when I was walking back to turn the light off, I didn't want to give you guys a full Tommy Wiseau ass shot. So I know, you're welcome.
So, I have a question about Buzzer to kick the movie off. Buzzer is our protagonist's best friend, right?
Yeah.
And the movie basically starts after the coolest fight scene that happens in the entire movie, in the intro. Involving demons and motorcycle gangs that are apparently preying on cultists for what? It's not important.
Hold on. No, actually, it is. Let me stop you right there, Johnny. Going back to Miami Connection, would you say that the first scene is similar to the first scene in Miami?
Oh yeah,
Connection?
that's immediate. It's so funny you brought that up. That's actually what I was thinking. I was thinking, they ripped Miami Connection off. Those sons of bitches.
Yeah.
Oh.
So if you see Miami Connection, it starts with like a coke deal, which gets interrupted by ninjas, and like a bunch of people. You just see a bunch of people just like getting murdered left and right. Like a guy gets a ninja star straight to his face.
Straight in the eye. Yeah.
And,
at least the fight scenes were good in Miami Connection, though. They were pretty badass. Granted, they had a kung fu masters, but
now this movie
but they
starts
didn't end
out
with the Terminator.
It's true. They didn't end with the Terminator. That's accurate.
Yeah. This movie starts out with like I already mentioned, is a satanic ritual that gets interrupted by bikers. Also, Miami Connection had the ninjas, might I say, were biker ninjas. So
Biker ninja is a very specific type of ninja.
yeah, very. Yeah, so it's the same thing as Miami Connection, which is very noteworthy. You can say anyway. Daniel, continue.
I wasn't actually going anywhere with this. I just thought I'd get us on topic. Buzzer, the worst best friend possible. Buzzer, who makes frequent gross attempts on our protagonist's girlfriend. Buzzer seems to be some sort of coke addict that is very interested in stealing stuff from his buddy. And he's not really liked, but after meeting an untimely demise due to the vampire motorcycle off camera, our protagonist has a whole bunch of dreams about his own fate and his own life based on Buzzer's death. I'd like you guys to go out on a limb here and sort of give me some exposition as to what was the connection and why was it that Buzzer made Naughty think of his own mortality? What's going on there? Why is he obsessed with him? Why does he see him in his poop? Why does he see him as a severed head in a bag being given to him by a police officer that he actually meets? What's going on there?
This is a very deep question and the deepest we've ever dived into anything ever on any of Ian's shows.
I like to ask crazy questions sometimes, and this one's on my mind. Is why Buzzer? What are you doing?
Why ask this question? Like, who cares? That's the answer.
When it comes down to it, you guys ever seen the Mighty Boosh? Also, originally British humor. And so when the turd's floating in the toilet and it's got the face, it just reminds me of like the face in the moon from the Mighty Boosh, and just like talking random, just crap the whole time through. And so, yeah, that was definitely one of the major things that came to my mind, is the satire and like the comedy aspect that comes from it. It seems like something that those guys would actually end up writing through it. But one of my major things is when Buzzer's body ends up getting found, and the neighbors are all like chatty Cathy's about it, and it's just like, I heard something but didn't really want to go in and check it. Thought he was watching one of his old stag films or something like that. And it's just like, a door getting busted in is more than somebody just wanking it. But yeah, so yeah, he ends up going into the through this gigantic hole in the middle of the door where they're doing the police investigation. It's just like, the first thing I noticed, like when all the walls are just like covered in orange and like little pieces of flesh, just reminded me of when a graboid gets exploded in Tremors. And so that was the main thing that was going through my mind right there. And it's just like, the interesting aspect is, why does the vampire bike end up like collecting heads? Like you see it mutilate people in other areas, but then like, yeah, it leaves like a giant trail of heads that's not mutilated. I've always been curious about that.
It's a hunter. I guess, yeah. I mean, I could never really quite understand where they were going with the bike, because they said it was a vampire, but it kind of just seemed like it was a demonic bike at one point, more so than a vampire until the end. And
Absolutely.
So I mean, like, is it like a predator? Like, are those trophies for it that it's just like slicing their heads off and parading them around in front of people, like flaunting it in their faces? I don't fucking know.
Well, watch, there's an entire deleted scene of the motorcycle like skinning off the skin and like bleaching the skull like in Predator. Just like,
oh god,
placing it on the wall.
Just like holding a skull
like
on one of its spikes and
like
does a little good curl.
Right? He just makes an army of bikes out of human heads.
Oh man, I would watch that.
I would watch the hell out of that. It's so sad. I would watch the shit out of that too.
Well, I did bring it up actually though, because you guys hit on a couple really important points that I was, which was the reason for my really stupid question in the first place, which is, this is a demonic bike. This is not a vampire bike, and
I mean,
it absolutely gets in your head. Well, I mean, eventually it's a vampire.
Eventually
bike,
it becomes one, but at the beginning it doesn't seem like it.
Because
in the beginning,
don't forget
dreams,
that like
it's haunting around him and all of this,
right.
like traditional
it gets,
vampires.
it gets like, it's just a regular motorcycle up until dumbass fucking bleeds all over it. And that's what triggers it, sets it off.
Oh.
But they do a whole exorcism, so
It won't go in the sunlight.
I mean, didn't he? I mean, yeah, I guess. I thought he wrote it during the day multiple times, but
no,
I guess it wasn't active.
That's not a thing that happened.
Yeah, they had to use their other bike.
They just put a blue filter over the screen so you couldn't actually tell. Like, look, this is the night now. But yeah, no, he did ride it multiple times
Tricked
during the
you,
daylight also. But they put a.
But what was that? But that
over
was before he bled on it, which triggered it into being vampire.
No, he brought it over to the house in a truck.
Mm-hmm.
That was Buzzer's truck.
Okay.
So it stayed in the dark the whole time. Ooh,
yeah.
Spooky motorcycle.
Just blacked out the windows on the car, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Buzzer already had that kind of car.
Yeah.
He did have a creepy candy van, that's for sure.
Yeah, it had his name written on the side with spray paint. It's not. It's not a good start.
Stay away, kids.
Yeah. So I guess let's go ahead and bring up the scene. Or are we done? Like I think that you were trying to go somewhere with that, but we just kind of trailed off. Was there a point to
It's
this
all over the
entire
place.
thing?
Yeah, well, I was trying to sum up the whole first half of the movie, but
Oh yeah.
it's kind of hard because it kind of trails off for a very long time.
Yeah,
I feel like there's 4 parts to the movie, but they're all divided in exact halves. So you've got your first half of the movie, then you've got your second half of the second half of the movie, then you've got another half, and then it's like finally getting over.
Man,
And
who
it just
taught you
steadily builds up.
But no, I'm kidding. It kind of, there are some boring parts in the beginning. I think that this movie could have very well like cut off like maybe a good 20 minutes, and
Yeah, it's like an hour and
it would
40
be all
minutes.
right.
Yeah.
In the beginning, yeah, it could have really just sliced it apart.
Because
and been
like
good.
so much of the movie is build up. It was like, oh, this vampire is acting, or sorry, this motorcycle is acting strange. And like we get from the very first scene that it's a vampire motorcycle, so we don't need all this like build up because we have already got it. We understand that this is a vampire motorcycle.
It's in the title, so one would assume as long as you can read, then you're good. You're all set.
Yeah, so they could have done without that. Although I think it was Daniel who brought up the bar fight, which was like an amazing fight scene. Or were
I did
you were
not bring
talking
that
about
up.
you were talking about the
Sorry,
first
the opening fight.
Yeah, the very
That was-
fight.
Yeah, that was
Well,
close.
The
how
bar
about-
fight
how
was
about
great too, though.
the bar fight. I mean, yeah, it goes
The bar
from
fight was
like,
something.
them playing pool to the like they're playing pool and then fighting over a pool table, which is great. We love that in our traditional bar fight scenes. There's dozens upon dozens of them.
I never go to my local pub without my my battle axe and
Of course.
my crossbow.
Yeah. Exactly. I wasn't even going to bring this up, but yeah, since you mentioned it, that the I guess the bouncer, the person like charging people at the door, was like, "Hey, I thought I told you not to bring in that crossbow," and he was like, "Oh yeah,
right.
it just like went off of my head. Whoops!" And they're like, get out of here, you crazy kid."
Do we
Go
look
on
like
and
guys that would
enjoy
start
yourself.
trouble? Yes, yes, you do. You all do. You're a goth biker gang. Yes, you're the exact people that I would pinpoint to start fucking trouble. Don't make me answer that
he
question.
started trouble before because she said, "I thought I told you before. Stop bringing in that crossbow because you keep starting shit." And so they get in a fight over the pool table, which your classic bar fight. But then all of a sudden, it progresses to a sword fight over a dinner table with a chandelier and everything. Like what?
It's very Princess Bride with the fighting sword fighting on the pool on the dinner table. It's just like,
I love it how it took there multiple times they would have his girlfriend pinned down and then she would escape and then it would take like all 10 of the other bikers to chase her, but they still couldn't catch her. And then they were just randomly with all their weapons, they're just going down and breaking every plate on those large tables individually. It's very meticulous. Like it's just one at a time. Why? What did they have against the bar? I mean, these guys always let them bring their crossbows in. Like you think that
why else would you bring a crossbow in if you couldn't break every plate in the bar? Come on, that's why
I guess so. I guess so. I always forget mine when I go to the bar. So,
the fact that the tavern owner didn't even give a damn. He's just like, so who ordered the chips or who ordered the crisps? It's just like everything's in tatters.
Every Saturday, this happens.
Yeah, but what's up with that? Like he ordered like a shit ton of beer for his entire gang, but like one tiny bag of chips for us, but we're Americans, but they were crisps. One tiny bag. He actually held the bag. He was like, "Who ordered the crisps?"
He's a man child. I definitely got that vibe from him. Like he actually doesn't know how to do anything besides drink beers, fight people, and eat cookies. Like those are the things he can do.
So while we're talking about the leader of the biker gang, for some reason, every time I kept seeing him, he reminded me of a skinnier Michael Shannon.
Yeah,
I
a
kept
younger,
seeing it a little
skinnier
in the
Michael
face.
Shannon.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I can kind of see that.
Let's see that a little.
Nice. And so yeah, while this is happening, you see the vampire motorcycle like trashing their motorcycles outside.
That was pretty great.
The motorcycle gets into like a slow hump when it's like smashing things.
Maybe he was
decapitating.
getting the
Oh
groove,
shit!
baby.
That just made this movie so much darker. Like he wasn't trashing his bikes; he was raping them.
Oh my god!
I hate that. I don't want to think about that. I did think about it a couple times during the film, but I was trying not to think about it too much.
Thanks a lot, Sloan.
It's a very
Miss
lucky
Sloan?
action, but then the next thing you know, like when it's doing it to somebody else, it backs up and they fall in half. The gore was good in this movie. I did like the gore.
Oh yeah. I'll hand it to the effects, the makeup and effects team. They did a pretty spot on job of most of the impaling, most of the heads getting cut off. It was
Most of the impaling.
Continuity, on the other hand, was terrible. There were so many times in which the motorcycle attacked somebody and like went away. Like, hey, look, you've just gotten chopped right here. Also, that part's fine, but we're gonna pan over here.
The priest ends up losing all 4 fingers, and then it's just immediately cool. Yeah, sashay away on that. Like
that was
I'm
terrible.
perfectly fine.
We're good.
That was so terrible. Like that was like the worst like fake cut off fingers. That they just like he did like this, like just like held his hand, and then it looked like this, basically.
That's pretty it's not as red, but it's very accurate.
Yeah.
Also, you're not as British.
That might have something to do with it.
The most accurate part of this movie, in my honest opinion. So I personally don't have a religious belief, and so I don't step into a church very often, personally. But when the main character goes and tries to visit with the priest, and the other priest like gets down on his knees and starts doing the Hail Mary, and he like trips over the priest, and it's just like not knowing what's going on in the confessions. It's just like I can actually kind of relate with this guy a little bit on this.
I like how he went to the confession like backwards, like you're supposed to like kneel on the thing and look towards the window, but he just like sat on it backwards.
Clearly didn't know what the hell he was doing. I mean, that was
yeah. Which there's a Seinfeld episode where he does that, where he sits on it, and
at least he didn't straddle it. So there you go. That's something.
But yeah, so. Most of the time, the motorcycle kind of does its own thing, but I think the most standout part is in the hospital, where I could say everything that happens, but why do that when I could just play a video clip right here? So, like, she knows that the motorcycle's coming. She could hear it. She can hear the engine outside.
Not only can she hear it, she can feel it.
Oh my god!
Oh god, it's a nurse!
It's nothing.
Oh god, it's a white woman.
The big thing I kept thinking of is, do we cue the Jaws theme or do we look for The Shining for this moment?
I wouldn't do that if I were you, lady. Don't lay down.
What happened to all that smelly foreign stuff that she had around her before?
Oh shit. Nobody rushes in when all these people are screaming. Just
that's what I'm screaming.
Run, bitch, run! Like, why are you standing there? Run out the double doors behind you.
Nope, that's not an option, obviously.
Nope, just okay. And it's gonna be real slow.
I hope that's vampire movements and not whatever I'm thinking is happening.
I kind of wanted them to show the prods going into her.
Well, they definitely didn't have the money for that.
Yeah, no, you're right. They totally didn't. But... Get up and run.
And
I'm sitting there.
Oh, it's too late now.
It's too late. The vampire motorcycle can also hypnotize you. So, very vampire-esque. What?
That's definitely one of my favorite reveals of this movie.
The fact that so before it actually comes through the window, she's like high up in like higher floors, and the people who were talking, I guess it was the other cops, the Mulder and Scully, that were doing like the food porn in the car.
Oh my
And-
god. Okay, well,
Yeah,
for the
Frankfurters.
audience who most likely never seen this movie before, why don't you explain what that is?
So while the in the preview, you notice that there was a guy who ended up flying through the window and landed in the casket. So while he's
Yeah.
getting chased by the vampire motorcycle without a driver, there's cops that are a male and a female that are eating in an alleyway in their squad car, and they're just like staring each other in the eye intensely. It's just
Very sexually.
Very
Seductive
long.
almost.
Reenactment.
Well,
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a food porn moment, and it
Yes.
gets a little uncomforting. But yeah, so they end up following it and get to this segment where they just watch it go down the wall, but they end up calling into the precinct, and supposedly it's climbing a wall, is what they're saying at that point, and that's just before it's coming in through the window at the hospital. And so.
Yes. Okay. So thank you for that. All right. Now, what were you saying before that?
Food porn.
Food porn. Sausage
Sorry,
porn. Gotcha.
That's
Yeah,
the only thing I've
attention.
got on my mind now.
It's food porn.
I mean,
It was-
can't blame you for that. Yeah. So what else happens? There's the exorcism, which is pretty fun. We see a glimpse of that in the trailer,
Yeah.
where it's like sprinkling the holy water on him. He's like the Son and the Father and the holy shit. Yeah, so there's this whole thing where like I thought that was actually a pretty well done scene, actually. Like they had like all this wind coming out of nowhere, like they're trying to exorcise this motorcycle of the demon / vampire, which I just I think you could probably defeat a vampire with an exorcism. I don't see why not. They're pretty good.
I mean, I'm not familiar with any franchise or series that's ever tried that, but maybe.
Yeah, this might be the first one.
It's a groundbreaker, man. It's a trailblazer. I mean, they're rewriting all the rules, baby.
Johnny, how do you expect to kill a motorcycle? Are you going to exercise it, or what are you going to do? What's your other alternative if you're not going to do an exorcism?
Plug up the
Because a wooden
exhaust.
stake isn't going to go. Yeah, but no, a wooden stake's not going to go through it. So
Drowning didn't work.
try again.
Chainsaw, cut it up into pieces.
Chainsaw does
Yeah.
not work against vampires. I think exorcism is the way to go.
A vampire motorcycle. Okay.
A
Lightsabers,
chainsaw
dude.
blessed with
Lightsabers.
holy
Perfect.
water.
We're changing the game.
But yeah, I love how like all of a sudden he gets like he's during the thing the priest gets like pinned to the wall, you know, like Christ, and a screwdriver goes through his hand,
Each hand.
and like
Nothing through the
and-
feet though. They didn't complete it. Nothing through
Yeah.
the feet. I was a little disappointed by that.
and then he gets the barbed wire across his
Cross. Yeah. The crown.
And then it was like, well, I guess that's it. Cool.
That's the end of the scene. End of the
Yeah.
scene. He's fine after that.
Finn.
Yeah, true. But no, they thought that they were done. They thought that they exercised the bike and that'd be it. And then,
Good has finally triumphed over evil.
yeah. What are some other standout scenes? I guess there's the ending.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
next on my list.
Yeah. All right, Daniel, go ahead and take us away.
I just have to appreciate after we're sure that our protagonist has beaten the vampire motorcycle. It's fallen into water, running water, over a bridge, which should mean it's dead by vampire lore, presumably. Vampires can cross running water. It does in fact come out of the water, so the rules. But it comes out again, and he sees his buddies while he's running away, and doesn't, I don't know, connect with them for whatever reason. He just sort of sees them, taps on the car, and then runs some other way, and just runs to a late night all men's gym with some very buff, scantily clad men. And that's where the epic finale fight happens with the very scantily clad men. And it has some great slow motion decapitation. It has a lot of scenes that go nowhere. My favorite part about it probably is watching people drop their barbells in the beginning and then just like be lifting them up again later. Like, I'm not willing to pay attention anymore to this moment. I've got to make great muscles. And then nobody once swings a barbell or does anything at all athletic to fight this thing. But they kill it ultimately with a tanning bed, the way that we expect all motorcycles to die.
Well, that's how all vampires die in every franchise I've been familiar with. So,
I was thinking about motorcycles. No wonder. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Don't forget about the garlic breath.
Yes, that was a whole thing. Is the garlic breath? Yes, thank you.
With Inspector Clouseau. Yeah.
The inspector. What was his name?
I saw a lot of
Cleaver.
I don't know, but
Inspector
Cleaver.
Cleaver. Yeah,
he was a fucking delight. By the way, he was so fucking. I've never heard a character like who's supposed to be good sound diabolical yet somewhat seductive at the same time. Every time he spoke, he'd be like, "You talk like this," and he'd be like, "What is it loaded?" When he has the little cross in his hand, and I'm like, why do you sound like this? Why? I loved it. I was laughing. My sides were hurting
the whole time.
He must have been.
I have no clue how a cross works. Where do I load it?
Is this going in my pants? I don't know.
It's like it must be a gun. But like he'd like get in everybody's face and just like breathe his garlic breath on them. Just like, do you know anything about?
Ian, never do that again.
Okay.
I was too close to your mouth there.
But yeah, he was just like apparently like he really loved garlic, and that wasn't anything to do with the plot. That was just a happy coincidence that he just loved garlic, and he had it in his breath. And every time he would talk to somebody, he would just like talk all close, and it's just. Bleh. And they're like, oh, like there's a whole scene where they're like, oh, something smells terrible. And they see him and they're like, oh, no, never mind. I've been mistaken. And he's like, oh, good. I don't know.
Who the fuck knows? Who knows anymore? I mean, these guys just
that's what ended up defeating the motorcycle was his breath. It was like, I know how to defeat it.
Well, I like how the priest is just like, use the crucifix, and he's just like, no, I got a better weapon.
I really appreciate the secret weapons in this because you guys already mentioned the garlic breath. You mentioned the little tiny handout crosses, the little kids' toy crosses. My favorite was the throwing star that never came up again.
I was about to say
the Jesus throwing star. He used it
once. Fly, apparently.
No, he didn't
even get the fly.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't at all. Like you didn't even see like a half of the fly on the wall. I was like, damn, you guys couldn't. I don't know. I feel like the makeup
no, you
was
heard
good
it buzz
enough.
Afterwards. It was so stupid.
Yeah,
it was meant to be a dumb scene.
Fail. Fall on their face on that one.
So yeah, I like I do love good religious paraphernalia in an anti-demon or vampire movie. Like there's got to be a couple cool cool trick toys, and I thought that was one of my favorites was the throwing star that never came up again.
Blessed with that holy water. What are you gonna
do? What else is there? We mentioned the turd, his friend that's a turd, which was very pointless. It turned out to be a dream. So
yeah,
and it jumped into his mouth.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that part kind of reminds me of Night of the Creeps, trying to like bite the
Mm.
little leeches going in your mouth. But one thing that definitely stuck out in my mind, the dog is peeing on the bike the night before, and you hear while he's asleep, and you hear the dog barking, and then you hear and, like supposedly it's getting obliterated. But the next morning, like they're getting ready to go try and ride it, and it's just like, what's all over the tires? He's just like, oh, it's probably just mud, and it's just like, no, it's more mud. But yeah, yeah,
right.
the difference between gory leftovers of stripped meat compared to trailblazing mud, I don't know. He's not very bright. His elevator does not go to the top floor. Let's just put it that way.
That's pretty good. I've heard that before.
There were so many random scenes that obviously didn't progress the story anywhere, but there were a couple inappropriate ones that were still made me laugh. But like when they go to the Chinese restaurant and at the top the store name is Oriental Chinese, and then when the owner standing behind the cash register, he pops up and you hear a gong bong in the background, and I'm like, we get it. We fucking know that this guy is probably we didn't need the gong added to it. It's completely inappropriate. Still made me laugh, but not needed at all.
The store title was the Fucking. That's what the restaurant was called. Fucking.
Yeah,
a lot of sexually innuendos that never went anywhere. Love it.
Yeah, yeah. That come to think about it. Yeah, now that you bring it up, that was a very racist thing.
It was. I mean, I don't know how many people would be offended by that, but I'm sure there would be a few. And I don't know if it's bad. I secretly liked the score for this a little bit. I did. It was like almost like a goofy version. A really weird comparison. But like, you're familiar with Peter and the Wolf? They had a lot of there was a lot of oboe that you heard. You heard some clarinet in there, and they just kind of made it a little more lighthearted. And I don't know. I don't know. It fit perfect because the movie wasn't taking itself too seriously.
Yeah.
And the music, I think, matched up pretty well.
Jonny Blackburn, Casio fan.
I was about to say the cat. You were talking about the Casio when we were watching it, and it was just like, nope, that's gonna be stuck in my head now. old school '80s Casio.
Yeah,
Johnny, though, you've got a pretty good point that they did do a lot of chase music. They did a lot of little bits of rip-off music. They definitely did they did some wedding music. They did the Inspector Clouseau theme, at least enough that my wife was like, "Where the heck is the pink inspector guy cartoon? What's going on here?" Yeah. They did. They just had theme after theme that they ripped off on with the Casio keyboard, and they definitely had like creep music going on with the just like Peter and the Wolf.
But at least they attempted the theme, which I appreciate. It goes back to what we were talking about again earlier, Ian. I mean, I didn't feel like it wasn't mind-blowing or anything. It wasn't amazing, but they did try. They like you talk about, the inspector having his own theme, and they did have themes for certain characters and stuff. So I did appreciate I appreciated the amount of detail that they added into that. That was a nice aspect. Yeah. Didn't expect it.
The final song that's the final score for the ending credits, it seems like they actually had that written for the movie.
Yeah.
I was vampire motorcycle song?
Gasoline.
Literally, the lyrics are running on blood instead of gasoline. It's just like, well, I wish I had all the lyrics written out in front of me, but
I hope that was commissioned for this. I just can't imagine.
I think the name of that song was "I Bought a Vampire Motorcycle."
I could see it. I used to own a motorcycle.
I love how stupid and just so on the nose the title of the movie is.
I love that. Yeah. It's perfect. Like you walk in knowing what to expect. It's
Do you have any more questions about this movie? Do you think it's going to be good or bad? Because if so, we can say this is the bad movie about purchasing a vampire motorcycle.
It's
not the good one.
No mystery about what you're going into. You're fully prepared for what's coming at you. So
I appreciate that.
Well, the second thing that happens in the movie,
delivers. It sells exactly what it delivers. It's like, it's like you can just you know how like you go into a movie theater and like it shows you like the billboard of everything that's playing, and it'll be like, you know, this movie's playing and this movie's playing, and then I bought a vampire motorcycle. It's like, oh, that looks good. Let's go see what that's all about.
if anyone read that movie title and said, "Oh, I think that looks good. Let's go see what that's about." To quote Ian Webb.
And the whole purchase is like scene takes like 30 seconds. like we get to see him buying the vampire motorcycle, and it's like, yep, that's done.
Did you want more haggling, or did you want him to get a better price?
Cool.
Maybe some accessories.
Of
Maybe he could have had a vampire sidecar.
They actually cut out the haggling because the guy was just like, you know, for you, I'll give it to you for 1,500 quid, and that's pretty much the last we hear of it until he goes home and he's just like, you know, he tells his buddy he got it for 11, but he tells his girlfriend he got it for 6, and then finally she hears the truth in the end, and he's just like, that's not important.
Yeah, he gets
irrelevant. Move on.
He spent that much money on a motorcycle that turned out to be like a murderous vampire. And he's like, damn it, like that, that's a He's like, that's a bullshit. I paid like what was it, 11 or something, or that you just
1,100. He paid for it, and then
it's like, I paid 1,100 quid for that. And she's like, what? You spent that much? Oh wait, no, never mind.
6.
But it's like he's like, above all things, more that is going around on like murderous rampages is that he overpaid for it.
Right. Out of all the things to keep secret, that's probably not the top of your list, one would think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, so there's a whole thing where like the motorcycle gets into a fight with a bunch of bikers. Some lame ass bikers, but then again, it is London, so
the British, come on, you know. they're the true French, okay? Just saying. Feel like the producers will be happy to hear that.
Yeah. Everybody who like really like runs and produces the show are all French, but they're French Canadian.
French Canadian.
So yeah,
it's not a complete diss.
They won't care. Yeah, French Canadian is where it's all about. Is the French that they're
freedom prize, right? Just kidding. That's dumb.
But yeah, they get in a fight with like I guess like the biker gang, and we already talked about they like to bring crossbows into bars, and yeah, so they're like, they recognize the motorcycle. They're like, that's the motorcycle that fucked with us, and so they go try to start a fight with the guy.
Yeah. And then why? So in that confrontation, the lead goth biker dude, he's saying, any last words? Out of nowhere. Like, this just escalates from 0 to 10 out of nowhere. Why would you kill the guy for something like that? It's not like he attempted to murder you. They're just like, it was a little too much. It was a little too much. Build up to it. Don't just jump right at it.
Well, you know, if you're an aspiring biker gang, you gotta let people know that you won't take shit.
You gotta put the hammer down, man.
In the beginning, like what is his reasoning for just coming in with his crossbow and shooting the guy in the back of the head with the bolt while he's doing the incantations? It's just like they didn't explain anything about what was going on.
It just accidentally went off in his hand. That's what he said. It was an accident.
It was an accidental homicide. Yeah. We're just a bunch of kids playing around. We're laughing. We're having a good time. Boom.
Dead. And it's like guns are outlawed, but
yeah, so they just carry around crossbows instead of guns. Yeah.
They beat the
Good.
system.
They found a loophole, man. You got to hand it to them. They got to hand it to them. Good point.
Yeah. Well, I guess let's go ahead onto the prompts. Well, this is why we're all here in the first place. So I gave y'all a couple prompts. One is to pitch another movie featuring another vampire object. Like, so say, actually, shit, I forgot. Before we go into that, editor, edit this out of post. Ignore this.
That's
We
going
don't say
straight
that, Ian.
when you
We
know
don't
that.
say that. We don't fix it in post.
Damn
it.
Yeah. I forgot the very end. This movie ends with the guy like he's like unscrewing another motorcycle and cuts his hand on a very rusty nail. It's like, oh no, it's okay. I don't care.
This happens all the time here.
Yeah,
It's fine.
You know, who cares about fucking like rust going into your bloodstream? But
poisoning of any kind.
But he whips it off on a towel and hangs it up right above the old vampire motorcycle. They defeat the vampire motorcycle,
And
but then he
kept it.
decided to keep it and hang on a bloody rag above it, which started bleeding onto it. It's like, God damn it! So I ask you guys, I guess pitch a sequel to this movie or pitch another movie featuring another vampire object, or or if you could remake this movie, if we could have a modern Hollywood remake, who would you have to I guess direct it, act in it, and like how could you make this movie good, basically? And Daniel, you told me behind the scenes that you had a good one, so we'll start with you.
Well, for starters, the one that I really wanted to pitch to you originally, but I had to choose one. The one that made it onto the cutting room floor was I bought a vampire toilet.
Oh, that's a good one.
And
that's pretty topical because we see a toilet in this movie too. So.
I just feel like this is one of the great ways to have something like, again, you've got a seated mechanism that you ride on. You've got something that's going to haunt you in your dreams, something that's already got a little like, so it could totally happen. And then I was thinking that because of the use of the tools inside of the auto body shop during all the times that they were trying to fix up the motorcycle, that maybe the way that the vampirism was spread was through blood on the actual tools used by the plumber, and that maybe the plumber was like some sort of cultist that was like helping to spread all of the vampire virus, whatever it is that you want to think of it, demonic possession, around to different toilets in the neighborhood. And then I also thought about it based on British plumbing, which would be disgusting in the first place and just really fun to play with. However, I did not decide to pitch that one. What I'd like to do is I'd like to do a remake. And I happen to live in Florida, quite close to Daytona Beach, and I would like to see, I bought an Orange City Chopper vampire motorcycle with one of those huge, like, ride them like this sort of bikes.
Oh, yeah.
With like all the really
Those are the
fancy
best.
bikes. Yeah, I alluded to, I bought a vampire sidecar already, and some other really fun things that you could do with this. Like, and I was thinking that, like, you know how like the movie Anaconda starts with one snake, and then Anacondas goes to having 2 and or more snakes. I thought that doing it with Orange City Choppers, that we should have like all sorts of lame swamp vehicles and
Not Rally Edition.
The hydro boats and
oh yeah, that's exactly. Well, no, that's the twist at the end. Think about the Jurassic Park series, and like all of a sudden at the end you got the little flying guys. So maybe at the end we spin off into the new chapter of I bought a vampire helicopter for part 3. And then they can spread to other islands like Costa Rica from there. But yeah, no, I was thinking specifically an over-the-top action feature with vampires similar to Blade, but with motorcycles. And I thought that Jason Statham should be the lead character, and it should be directed by the guy that did Transformers, Michael Bay, because I need more explosions. There was so few explosions in this movie, and I felt like it really needed a lot.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I don't usually ever agree that movies need more explosions, but I think you're right. I do think you're right. I think it could certainly lend itself to upping the entertainment value on it.
Yeah, but I like the idea of a single motorcycle going to the Daytona bike week and infecting a whole bunch of bikes, swamp buggies, etc., 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 and then leading to a helicopter chase at the end with vampire helicopters.
All right.
And explosions everywhere.
And explosions.
This just
$200 million budget. Boom. Write a check, Warner Brothers.
No, yeah, absolutely. Like, fucking, yeah. I can definitely see that. Like, why haven't they done it yet?
I don't know.
Start writing the script, my man.
I'm here. Call me up.
Let's do it. Copyright.
Michael Bay, you heard it here first.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
Eat a dick, Michael Bay.
You gotta choose the next. Choose the next one. Choose the next one. I can't talk anymore about this, or I'm gonna get too excited.
Johnny, I saw you doing this thing with your hands, so that told me that you had an idea.
Well, I was. You had sent it earlier. When you had sent it earlier, I thought about it and then ended up going to do something else and forgot. So, anyways, what came to mind? What came to mind would honestly, I think a remake for this one. I think there's actually only one director that is perfect enough to take this on, and that would be Robert Rodriguez. If you talk about a guy who can find...
I was gonna say Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, baby. You think about because dude. I mean, you've got From Dusk Till Dawn. You got he already has the vampire genre, Planet Terror. I think you mix in the same type of the cinematography that they used from Sin City, and you mix that together. And I actually think a very stupid, entertaining, but stupid fucking premise like this could be done really badass.
Absolutely.
A very cool movie with Rodriguez starring it and Danny Trejo voicing the motorcycle, of course.
Wait, he would talk?
Oh yeah. I feel like the motorcycle would have to talk. I feel like we'd have to have a talking motorcycle.
Vroom vroom.
Vroom vroom bendejo. And then you just throw in, the typical cast of characters that the carousel of actors he usually uses in most of his films. But I think he could actually turn it into something like we had said, it would be really cool and something that, you drop same thing, $300 million on it or something. And then you make it into this gigantic summer blockbuster, and it could work. Maybe
Robert Rodriguez is the king of low budgets.
He is the king of low budgets. So a lot of some of his stuff over the last 15 years has been pretty high budget. But yeah, when he started out, for sure, he and I guess his latest movie too. What's that new one there? Not Poison. It's his new Ben Affleck one. Anyways, that would be mine. It would be a remake. So that's where I'm at. Sloan?
Did Ian freeze?
I think Ian froze.
There
he is.
Completely.
He's still freezing.
Yeah, he's freezing pretty good.
Sloan, you're up.
So, all right. As we know, the Bloody Rag is feeding the original tank that came on the vampire model. Before trading it out, they traded out the tank because it was damaged because of the bolt that went through it at the beginning of the movie, and so that's why it still had part of the vampiric quality to it. And so my whole concept is once the blood goes into the gas tank, it starts to transmogrify a little bit, and it ends up pulling like a thing where like the head starts sprouting the legs and stuff like that. So it would just be the tank, and it would have like these little metal legs that like come out and through, and it makes its way all the way to suburbia, to where it ends up taking over a like a John Deere lawnmower. And so yeah, this one's the vampire one, and so the other one it's just pretty much just there for mutilation. It's not surviving on it anymore. It's all revenge at this point. So Night of the Living Lawnmower. And if anybody were to do it, I liked when you ended up showing me Psycho Goreman. So Astron 6, I think, would do a really fun job with this kind of movie, with like realistic physical gore and stuff like that. So, great blood splatters, like having these old ladies having like a tea party, and then just like, maybe it comes in and like runs over like they're like show dog or something like that, and they're just like freaking the fuck out. And so yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at with it. And then down the line, maybe it ends up finding the love of its life, which is a vampire helicopter, and they end up teaming up, and they travel across the world, and the helicopter ends up dropping it down onto human civilization control aspects, and they end up assimilating the whole planet. And yeah,
I like it.
Rambunctiousness. Right. There we go. Pulled that out of my ass.
All right. Yeah, sorry, I lagged out. I tend to do that every once in a while. Yeah, so I also want to do a Robert Rodriguez one. He's the man to do it like that. Or Astron 6. Like those are the two, yeah. Astron 6 or Troublemaker Studios. I was gonna say, yeah, don't forget in Machete, both the movie and the fake trailer shows him on a motorcycle, like with like a fucking minigun, like bouncing over, into the sky, like shooting at people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that could be the titular motorcycle.
Maybe he's already working on it. Who knows? It might already be in the works, man.
Yeah, and then he'll just like sue us for
oh God. We're talking for giving away his. I don't even have that much money, Rodriguez. Leave me alone. There's nothing to take.
But no, that'd be great. So I was gonna say that. So yeah, it's got something to do with Machete universe, like Machetes and Spy Kids. So you get the whole universe thing going. But another thing, another thing we could do is I bought a vampire toaster. Comes to my mind. So, it's the same. It's the same deal. Like it's a tale as old as time. You have the satanic ritual. The guy cuts his neck and bleeds all over a toaster, turned into a vampire toaster, and then the guy buys it.
Yeah. Classic tale, classic.
Yeah.
The old folklore.
So he leaves the toaster there, but he accidentally bleeds on it, as one does. Then the toaster wants more, but the guy leaves. So the toaster is like, "Oh hell no! I want more of that, but I can't do. I need to go, get more blood so I can survive, but I need my friends to help me." So he kind of like cuts himself and bleeds onto a vacuum cleaner.
I knew you were gonna go this way.
How many house appliances can we throw in here? Perfect.
A radio,
a blow dryer,
and a blanket. And
blanket. Where's
the grave little toaster?
The grave.
Exactly.
Oh
yes. Thank you.
Oh, the grave little toaster is such a good name for it.
Grave little.
Such a good name for it.
Yeah. Grave little toaster. That's what we need.
Yeah, that one I would watch too. That's a solid 2 out of 3. Very good, guys.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess let's go ahead and rate this. So y'all know how we do it. 1 out of 10. I think this movie's great. It's also very bad, but it's there's some parts that could be better. It's kind of some boring parts, but once you get past the second half, it's just all gold. So I'll give it probably 7 turds in the toilet. So
Okay.
how about you?
So the gore aspect was really fun. Storyline was a little discombobulated, and there were points where if I had hair, I'd probably be ripping it out. But no, I did love it overall. I don't feel bad about watching it, and I recommend everybody out there to at least watch it once.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go ahead and give it 7 decapitated biker heads on the sidewalk.
All right. Cool. Johnny?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the script was bad, but it wasn't the worst one that we've ever watched. It wasn't the most horrible. They tried. We talked about the score having themes for characters and particular scenes coming up. They attempted at it, so I appreciated that. Production value really wasn't that bad. Actually, I really thought the makeup and special effects, the SFX team in this they did a really wonderful job. It was very surprising. I thought the inspector was absolutely hilarious. The acting for a low budget movie like this, it's typically always awful, and it was moderately passable in this one. And just entertaining as hell. There were a lot of good one-liners, especially the point. The one where the biker gang, I've totally forgot to mention it during the big gang fight in the tavern. They go, and now it's death time, and then he's like, "No, it's escape time." And I just love that. I was laughing so hard, dude. I would give this a solid 8 death times. For sure. On a bad movie scale, I give it a solid 8 death times. I liked it.
Okay, cool. Daniel, what you got?
Oh, I mean, based on premise alone, this gets a pretty high score for me. I agree with you guys about the production value. I agree about the acting, the score, all of this. I also want to point out that this movie was very self-aware. In addition to parts of their score and acting and other things that they took reference to, they were obviously trying to spoof on it. This was not a movie made like some of the more recent spoof movies like Scary Movie or something like this. Yeah. This was meant to be self-aware before the idea of the parody genre was fully fleshed out, and you could get a lot of good old school British humor from it, a lot like Monty Python or other dry humor type things, but it also had its fair amount of cheese. And I've got to say that it has been a while since I've seen a movie that had that much of its own independent theme and that much of like eye-rolly cheese since the beginning of the Fast and the Furious genre. And I mentioned that because specifically I would like to give this 8 out of 10 Fast and the Furious movies that had more ridiculous premises than a vampire motorcycle.
All right.
And that's exactly where I want to see this go. Thank you. My whole movie premise before probably should just go straight to Fast and the Furious because they brought a car into space, I guess, recently, and that's where I wanted to see the future of my movie go. I'd like there to be vampire motorcycles.
Fair. Okay.
Vampire rocket shuttle.
Yep.
So you can make a vampire anything. Like,
yeah, why not?
Vampire podcast. Oh shit.
Oh, mic drop. Walk out of the room.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll do for this episode of Colin Trash Horror Movie Grind. Thank you all. Before we exit out, of course, I have to tease next week's episode, and that is right here.
Do you see this writing? Do you know what it means?
No, because you're moving too fast.
Hospitality. And You can't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it.
I'm fairly certain that he did.
Daddy.
Tighten my belt by 1 loop so I don't feel hunger pains. And your sister and mother will have to do likewise.
Jesus.
Okay, Joshua. You want to get rough with me? You want to
Always a
show me that you
classic.
don't like the choice of this house for our vacation by going on a
Oh,
hunger
yes.
strike? Well, I'll accept the challenge. But just remember, when I was your age, I really did suffer from hunger. We'll see who gets through this. But just remember, I've got more practice than you. I'll see you tomorrow.
What?
Yeah,
See you tomorrow, son. Have fun staying in your room locked up for 24 hours.
So you'll be in that episode next week. So why don't you tell us all what movie that is? What we just saw. So
No, me. Sorry, I was too focused on that. So that is Troll 2, and yeah, this is getting. Last night was the first time I had a chance to see it, and I was actually quite enamored with it. And I was expecting something a lot more like topsy turvy, but it was. Let's just say it's a little more well written than the last 3 episodes of Star Wars. We were talking,
wow, that is one.
We were talking
comparison.
about some bad script writing before, and it's just like, man,
Hate mail can be delivered
Somehow
directly
Palpatine
to
returned.
Sloan Thompson at sloanthompson@gmail.com. Thank you.
So Tommy Gun Thompson.
Sloan, Tommy Gun,
Right?
Thompson time.
As I said, I wasn't sure what I was looking forward to going into it, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this next.
Yeah,
podcast.
when I found out that somebody who's a regular contributor on this show has not seen Troll 2, I was like, bullshit. You gotta watch this. So he'll be part of that, and we've got a surprise celebrity guest coming.
Oh,
and
it's coming back.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so I love how that that episode is or not episode, sorry, that video we just watched. I love how he so this kid, he pisses all on their meal because he's trying to save them, because there's this like shit that nobody can see on it except to him. So he pisses on it and stop them from eating it, and he takes off his belt, and he looks like he's about to beat the shit out of this kid. It was like, oh yeah, takes off his belt. It was like, oh no, don't hit me. He's like, no, I'm just tightening it by 2 loops so I don't feel hunger pains. That's brilliant. And I usually just tease with one clip, but we all have to fucking see it.
We know the
it's
one.
classic. Yeah, we all know the one.
Mhm.
It's right here.
They're eating her. And then they're going to eat me. Oh my
Yeah. That's
Oscar
so
winning
that's
performance.
good. Fucking yeah. Amazing. All right. Well, so yeah, tune in next week for Troll 2, in which Sloan and I will review that. And so that'll do for this episode called Trash. Johnny, check out Johnny over at I Don't Give a Flick podcast. And yeah, so I mean there'll be plenty of episodes where this one comes out. I mean, we're recording way in advance, but what do you have in the way of the future and or past?
By the time that so I Don't Give a Flick, for those that aren't familiar, is a podcast. It's a film podcast where we break down film theory and behind the scenes look into the production of film, kind of giving you in-depth look on terminology, how the actual process of the making of the films goes. We do a lot of, best of all time, top 5 lists, things like that. So it's not necessarily reviewing one movie. It kind of reviews everything else. So making it hopefully a little unique. So Ian, you'll be on for that existentialism in film one, which we should be recording here in a few weeks. We just finished out with we did the Matrix franchise a couple weeks ago. Lord of the Rings franchise is coming up here pretty soon, due to the 20th anniversary of Lord of the Rings coming out on December 19th. And yeah, so we got a lot of good shows coming out and a lot of new guests. So tune in. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple, Google, anywhere podcasts are hosted.
Yes, sir. And anybody else have anything that they want to plug or shout out or anything?
No.
So Tommy Gunn through the Sloan Tommy Gunn Thompson. That's my drumming name for the Caustic Cadavers. It's a folk punk, kind of old school skate punk. And about this time last year, we ended up recording our first in studio album, and we're working on a second one. But if you guys like the old nostalgic, punky grunge, check out Caustic Cadavers, and enjoy.
All right, cool.
Nope.
All right, well, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks to all of you for joining and coming back. And that'll do it. All right, have a good night, everybody.